Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of OMG Sports, Dallas Mavericks recap with your boy Jonathan Baker. Yes, sir. And coming to you after Mavericks season-ending Game 5 Western Conference Finals loss to the Golden State Warriors. They lost 120 to 110, 5 games. The Golden State Warriors are moving on to the NBA Finals. Kudos to the Warriors. They were clearly the better team, more experienced team. They're making it to the finals for the 6th time in 8 years, which is just crazy. I mean, that's elite dynasty level stuff. But the Warriors got it done. Mavericks had a hell of a season. The fact that they got into the Western Conference Finals this far, they clearly overachieved. Most of us, if not everybody, had them out. Once they got matched up with Phoenix in the conference, the second round in the Western Conference semifinals, but they pulled off a huge upset, knocking off Phoenix and moving on to the Western Conference Finals. So the Mavericks had absolutely nothing to hang their hat on. Had a great playoff run. Luka really evolved and developed into a true superstar caliber player. It's just scary to think that Luka's only 23 years old. If he stays healthy, he's got a long Hall of Fame career ahead of him. So going into Game 5 recap, Dallas, they just didn't really have it. On the earlier recap that everybody listened to, I was saying that first things first is they got to match Golden State's energy and weather the storm early. Golden State came right out of the gate. They were blitzing Luka, trapping him, forcing turnovers. They were hitting shots. They came out right out of the gate like I knew they would, with a ton of energy. They were trying to put this game away early. Dallas, they did weather that storm. They were down early, like 14-5. At that point, I was starting to get a little nervous for the Mavericks, as in, man, this game could get out of hand early, but they hung around there. They made it competitive. Now, the big thing for the first 2.5 quarters, though, I was criticizing Luka, and I could definitely tell a lot of people on social media was taking my criticism of Luka the wrong way when I was saying on my Twitter page. Everybody follow me at JB_1411 on Twitter, that I was saying that Jason Kidd needs to bench Luka. And a lot of people said, man, you're crazy, you're over emotional. I was like, no, I'm not complaining about Luka's play. He was having an off night offensively. That happens to everybody. Like Jordan, Kobe, Iverson, Dirk Nowitzki, all the great players, hell, even Steph Curry, all the great players have rough shooting nights. It happens. The issue I was having with Luka was that his effort and engagement was just not there. It wasn't there at all. He was not training back on defense. He wasn't engaged in the game on rebounding and off-ball defense. He was just caught ball watching all the time. He wasn't putting a body on a body. He was giving up offensive rebounds. He was getting easily beat on cuts and off ball. He was just not engaged. His effort was just pitiful. I don't care how talented you are. Your effort and engagement in a game is everything. That's the two aspects any athlete can control, regardless of the circumstances. You're going to have rough shooting nights. You're going to have games that you struggle offensively. Like I said, it happens to everybody. But that kind of lack of effort and engagement, especially in a game when your season is on the line, that's inexcusable. That's completely inexcusable. Like I said, if I was Jason Kidd, I would have ripped him a you know what for that. And I'd have been like, it has nothing to do that you're 2 for 14 shooting. I'm going to tell you to keep shooting at that point because I know the type of player you have. I know your confidence and you're a big threat to score. But if this is the effort and engagement you're going to give me, you're useless. You're absolutely useless. I'd rather play with 5 guys on the floor who are nowhere near the level of talent you are. But if they're going to give me 100% hard effort and be highly engaged in the game,
especially a game like this, I'm going to roll with them. So yeah, for 2.5 quarters, Luka's engagement and effort was a complete joke. He, and more worse than the effort, he wasn't even engaged in the game. So that's what I was criticizing him. I wasn't criticizing that the fact that he was 2 for 14 shooting and he was struggling offensively. I was criticizing him because his effort and engagement was terrible. It was god awful. So that should be criticized by for anybody on any athlete on any level. Yeah, those are the two things that you can always control: effort and engagement. And if that's poor, you need to be benched. I don't care who you are. You could be Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. It doesn't matter. You're going to get benched. You should be benched if your level of engagement and effort is that poor. Now, granted, with guys like Kobe and Jordan and stuff like that, in the past, I'm pretty sure Phil Jackson never worried about that. He knew regardless how bad those two guys were going to play, their effort engagement was never going to be an issue. That's an issue with Luka. That's the only problem I really have with him. So he's got to grow out of that. He's got to get out of that mold. You're the leader of this team, bro. They follow you. So, but that's the criticism I have with Luka. But Luka had a really good game. He came alive in the third quarter. He got going because the Mavericks had fell down to 23 points in the third quarter. And in that final 5 minutes of the third quarter, the Mavericks got on a huge run. They went on a 15-2 run. They got the lead. They got the lead down from 23-8 at one point. So, and that was the point where I was like, okay, they've made it manageable now where they're having a shot in the fourth quarter, but Golden State, being who they are, they never wavered. They never got flustered. They executed their offense. They got the shots. They played good defense down the stretch, and they closed it out. Like I said, Golden State, they've been here. They've done that. So it's not shocking that they got done in the end today. They closed this out. In this series, though, Mavericks did a lot of good things. There were a few things that I think that they could have done better. The biggest, most obvious thing to me was Jason Kidd. Now, Jason Kidd has done a great job coaching the Mavericks this year. Defensively, he has massively improved his team. So kudos to Jason Kidd. But from an offensive standpoint, against the zone, I highly questioned his zone offensive sets throughout this entire series because the Golden State, throughout this entire series, they were mixing in a lot of different zone looks. They were mixing in 32 matchup, box and one. They were mixing in a lot of different looks, throwing a lot of different bodies at Luka. So, like, a lot of times when they were running the 32 matchup, Dallas was just running 5 out and only attacking the gaps with dribble penetration, which is good. But the issue with that is when you're going against 32 matchup zone or even a box and one, the weakest part of those zones is the middle. You want the ball in the middle of the zone as much as possible because when that happens, the zone collapses, and then that gives you options for everything where you can you got opportunity to shoot the mid-range shot from 12 to 15 feet. You can dribble penetration from the free throw line from 12 to 15 feet. You got the kickouts around the three-point line. It collapses the defense and gives you options for everything. And in order to do that, when the middle was open in the zone, I never saw a high post flasher ever in Jason Kidd's zone offensive sets, which is baffling to me because I was saying earlier, I've never seen a zone offense of sets built this way, constructed this way. It's kind of odd. When you go to get zone defense that looks like that, you have to mix in a high post flasher because you need the ball in the middle of the zone. 100%. They really didn't do that. They only attacked the gaps through dribble penetration. In game 4, they did some give and goes. They did some cuts against it. But outside of that, that was something that from a coaching standpoint, I think Jason Kidd did get exposed, and he didn't make the proper adjustments for that. Now, would that have changed the outcome of the series? Probably not. But I think that would have extended the series a little bit longer because that's what happened in game 2. It's what happened at the end of game 4. Like I said, there were a lot of times in these series where
Golden State got into these zone looks, and Dallas just struggled. They just massively struggled, and they just never with the high post flasher or the cutter. Just they really never got the ball in the middle of the zone that much, which is what you have to do to collapse those zone looks. Because the reality is they were running a lot of zone because they had to hide guys like Curry and Jordan Poole and even Klay Thompson defensively. Like Dallas has Brunson, Dinwiddie, and Luka. They have three guys that are really good in space and isolation. And Golden State, Steve Kerr knew I can't guard these guys for 48 minutes in space and isolation situations. I can't do it. They'll kill us doing that. So he had to run a lot of zone because he had to defensively hide a lot of his key players that he had to play. So I think that's something that Jason Kidd needs to take another look at, grow as a coach, and move forward. Now, with the Mavericks out and they get ready to head into the offseason, they got a lot of tough decisions to make. Jalen Brunson's a free agent. Do you cough up to $30 million per year over a 4 or 5 year deal to bring him back? So that is question number one. Because the thing about it is, if you do bring him back at the contract he's going to demand, you're telling Luka, hey, this is going to be your running mate for the foreseeable future because that's the core that you've built. The interesting thing is going to hinge on, honestly, in my opinion, is if Bradley Beal decides to pass up the max contract, which even as bad as Washington is, it's going to be hard for me to see anybody pass up $250 million. That's just too much money. So, I mean, I expect Bradley Beal to sign it, but if he does decide to test the free agent market, he will be the biggest free agent out there. And the free agent market is going to come to complete halt until he decides. He's going to move after he decides to sign, if he does decide to test the free agency market. But $250 million Supermax, yeah, that's going to be kind of hard for Bradley Beal to pass up. But I will definitely post another video soon of Dallas Mavericks further what they should do in the offseason, how to build this roster, to build something legit around Luka, and turn his team into a legit title contender, because next year it's going to be much tougher to get back to the spot next year for Dallas, because you got to realize Denver with Jamal Murray and crew, Denver's going to be fully healthy next year. Jamal Murray's going to be coming back next year. The Clippers with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they're going to be healthy again next year. The Memphis Grizzlies with Ja Morant and Dylan Brooks and those guys, they're going to be back healthy again next year. So Memphis, Denver, and the Clippers, that's three legit teams in the West. They're going to be healthy next year. So the West is going to be brutal next season. So Dallas has to upgrade their roster. The biggest need for sure is they need a legit rim protecting center, without question. So people keep talking about Rudy Gobert. I don't know if that's even feasible. Utah, they're not just going to hand you over to Dallas, especially being a West team already. You're going to give up a king's ransom for him. I think a more logical option via trade will probably be Miles Turner, but that's just me spitballing here. There's nothing saying that's going to happen. It's just that Miles Turner next year being the final year of his contract, I feel that if Indiana gets the vibe or finds out for sure that he's not going to re-sign with them long term, they're going to move him. They're going to trade him. They're not just going to let him walk for nothing. So that is a more viable option than Rudy Gobert. But whatever Nico Harrison and Mark Cuban decide to do, they got to get a legit rim protecting center on this roster for next season. So moving into the offseason needs and everything for the Mavericks the next season, I'll make another video for that. And until next time, guys, great season, Mavericks. Until next time, talk to you guys later.